Man.
Well, guys, just to introduce our fantastic guest today, he is the notorious leader of the Head Nod Squad, the host of the I Suck at Jiu-Jitsu show, the great and powerful Josh McKinney. Welcome to the show.
Thank you guys for having me. I'm excited.
Round 2, baby. Let's do it. About time we get you in here again.
Yeah.
I know. It's different. I'm loving the new studio.
Thank you. That's a cool spot, right?
Yeah, it is. It's so fun to have a spot for a podcast because you get to have, sacred conversations. You know what I mean? Like you get to have why else would the three of us ever sit down unless you guys were selling me a house? Why else would the three of us ever sit down?
Probably not. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the only way we'd be doing that is if we were sitting on a mat, probably.
Definitely.
Covered in your sweat and everybody's sweat and
or I was trying to sell you guys jujitsu, and so
sold.
Well, it's just fun to get to come and just talk about those things and talk about that perspective.
Totally, man. Well, you've made a pretty big declaration recently, and I'm just going to start us off with that. You're quitting Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and
quitting BJJ.
Quitting BJJ.
17 years.
Yeah.
Quit BJJ. Yeah.
That's quite the.
Yeah, it was a good run, but there was just a point where it was time to admit that it was over. I was sick of the parts of BJJ that make it what it is, or that a lot of people see it for currently.
Like what?
I think the simplest, the lowest hanging fruit is focus on things that aren't skill. Focus on things that aren't about getting good at jiu-jitsu. And in America, when you are a consumer, you expect to get what you are supposed to get, right? Mm-hmm. You're expecting to get something out of this. And I think so many people, they get a martial arts experience. And we're always worried in jiu-jitsu, hey, let's not turn jiu-jitsu into karate, right? What karate is now, it used to be this cool thing, and it's not anymore. Let's not turn jiu-jitsu into karate. Well, really, what was it? Well, we stopped focusing on karate being effective, being this striking martial art that was about winning fights, and it became about selling soccer moms. And that's fine. People made money off that, but then the problem with the art is nobody stayed true to it. And no one even believes you when you say karate used to be cool. People used to really be able to fight, that would learn this. And
I mean, look at Bruce Lee, one of the pioneers of it.
I was going to say Chuck Norris. I feel like that's
more.
Well, and even the mentality of Chuck Norris. Chuck Norris is also a jiu-jitsu black belt, right? Yeah. And so you see that, and you just see that, and you see this, there is this disconnect in the jiu-jitsu space. And I have, my podcast, the I Suck at Jiu-Jitsu show, that I've done 350 episodes now, and they're all about getting better at jiu-jitsu. And at a point, I realized, hey, a big part of this problem is just built into this method, that we have to focus on things that aren't getting good, and obviously this is a very simple way of put it. It's this is just a random thing random fight to make with the BJJ community or something, but it's not. It's when we start to look at police officers, and we start to look at the fact that they're being taught a type of jiu-jitsu that is effective because it's jiu-jitsu, but there are parts of it, and you can ask any black belt if they looked at, and I won't even go specifically, but if you looked at, arrest tactics that are taught, jiu-jitsu arrest tactics that are taught, they want to teach you sport jiu-jitsu. They want to teach you closed guard in how to do an arm bar, and they want to teach you how to open the closed guard. One of my black belt guys, his name's Ross, says, I am teaching he teaches at the police academy, and he teaches jiu-jitsu there. And he's like, I am, dealing with this group, and they said, hey, what would you do in this situation when you're on top and the bad guy wraps his legs around you, basically asking for close guard? And he says, and before I can answer, one of the other instructors, a jiu-jitsu guy, goes, oh, you would do this. And he creates this 4 or 5 step move where he opened the guy's close guard, right? And then he passed it. And Ross goes, oh, I have a different opinion. I have a different thought. What is it? And he goes, put me in the position. And he's like, you're the bad guy, right? And he goes, yeah. And Ross grabbed the guy's wrists, and he just sat there, and he goes, go ahead. And the guy goes, what do you mean? And he goes, my partners are coming to help arrest you. So go ahead. What are you doing? And the guy's like, well, I guess, and the guy opened his legs. The guy's like, well, I'm going to try to get away. And he goes, okay, so then why would I even need to know this? In the situation, this is not realistic. And since that isn't the priority in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, since that isn't the priority in BJJ, when it spills over, when we say, obviously it is very effective, it's this super important thing for people to learn to defend themselves or all kinds of other aspects. But when you see that and you go, oh, the priority wasn't effectiveness, and then it trickles down to, are you putting a police officer in a situation where he thinks that the idea should be for him to go for an armbar from closed guard when backup is 2 minutes? You could hug the guy's head. You could ideally not be there. You could ideally be on top in the situation,
holding
right?
him in the belly, just waiting.
I mean, what was that video? Who was it that was in the restaurant? The guy was harassing him, and he literally just stayed on top of him
and just held him
there.
down.
And just held him down.
Yeah.
And we don't talk about the effectiveness of that, the effectiveness of top. Why a high school wrestler can come into a jiu-jitsu class in so many jiu-jitsu schools around the country and be a huge problem for everybody, including the coach. And then what do? They go, hey, you need to learn guard. Why? I don't know.
Yeah.
Because then we can beat you, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what the reason is, but you see this. It's this constant. You see it everywhere. Like, hey, well, why don't we take the little things that they're taking from wrestling and steal those and then apply them to our art? Because that's what jiu-jitsu used to be about. Jiu-jitsu, it's not like all of these things came from nowhere. They came from other places. And you go, oh, well, we can steal these leg locks from Sambo. We can steal this. Do you think that the Gracies were coming up with a double leg on their own? No, they're learning from the guys who were good at it, and honestly, there was technique exchange in that too. And because the goal was effectiveness, the goal was to just be, for them to just have the most dominant fighting art. And obviously people's goals for jiu-jitsu are different, but that's why I quit BJJ. That's why I started doing American Jiu-Jitsu. AJJ.
So what are some of the things that you're thinking that are not effective in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? Like in particular, I know you were mentioning, obviously it's these concepts that, that are not effective, but what else are you trying to get away from?
Okay. So you got to look at it like this. It depends on the person, right? When you were in the jiu-jitsu games, there were jiu-jitsu techniques that you used to do that weren't effective in the games that we were playing, right?
Correct.
And so you take the jiu-jitsu that you have into whatever situation, and then you see if it can be effective, whether it's a rule set. And I mean, for you've competed in multiple rule sets over the last few months. You have to play different jiu-jitsu in those rule sets, right? Mm-hmm. And so you look at that and you go, well, I guess when you look at it that way, it just depends on the person that you are teaching American Jiu-Jitsu to, is can I, for a mother of 3 that is dealing with anxiety and wanting to get on the mats, what is effective? Is it like, oh, well, she's going to be able to beat up this big dude? That would be awesome. One day she's going to be able to do that. But I don't think she even really cares about that. She cares about, living her day-to-day life, escaping from that and going and doing something really fun in a really cool community of people.
Getting a workout.
Something very hard.
Exactly. And but she knows that if the situation ever arose where one of the other soccer moms cut her off in line and it was time to throw down, she was going to win. She knows hey, I'm not pulling guard on this broad. I'm not going to berimbolo her. I'm taking her down. And I'm putting
her face into the concrete.
I'm putting top pressure on her, for America, and she's driving a Toyota in front of me right now. And so for the United States,
pull my Ford over.
Exactly. I'm going to get out wearing my Origin jeans and I'm going to go and choke this girl out. Yeah. And so obviously that's what effectiveness is for this deranged soccer mom that we're talking about. But it just really is for the person. And so for me, then as even in my gym, as the guy where most of the ideas and techniques are coming from, I just go with the mindset of, well, if I can make this the most effective for, if you think about how a jiu-jitsu match or a fight in general works, if it's one-on-one, anything, it's like a zero-sum game. Anything that's good for me is bad for you because we're fighting each other,
Yes.
right? And so my thing with what my job is as a coach and as somebody trying to innovate in the American jiu-jitsu community, as one of the American jiu-jitsu innovators, my job is to go and say, like, what is the best way in every position, in every situation that we're dealing with, that we're looking at, that we can make it better for us and worse for our opponent, and less effective for our opponent. Can you put me in a position that you are more effective than me, right? And so it's like, that is where my mindset is like, can we teach in the most efficient way how to effectively win, whether if you are on bottom and you don't want to be there, how to get up. If you're on bottom and you would rather be on top, how to sweep and get up. And if you are on top, how to not get swept, then how to pass, and then how to attack, right? And so these thoughts of like effectiveness for me are just like, in a one-on-one fight, is just how much can I limit of yours and how much more gain of function can I have? Good.
I love
Good.
it. I love it. I'm all.
It's all I think
for it.
about, so I'm glad.
That's all I think
Yeah.
about.
So what changes to your game, I guess you could say, have you made so far, what you're trying to?
Man, that's a great question. I would say that for me, it's it's tough because anytime you're burning down a hierarchy, you have to look at like what made it effective, right? Why was I part of this? Why was it?
Yeah, you spent 17 years of your life, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there's huge parts of jiu-jitsu that are obviously, most of jiu-jitsu is incredibly effective. For me, going, okay, well, I've learned so much of this. What parts aren't? And what's really interesting is what I found is like what people would call in the jiu-jitsu space, old school techniques, old school ideas, but understanding them in a way that they were never verbalized, at least to Americans, I think. Understanding that in a way to be way more effective is like the reason that they were old school is because they survived the test of time. And as you start to really, really get good at jiu-jitsu, and the whole idea is, can I make these small adjustments constantly to take away your ability to be effective while I continue to be more effective? When you start to boil down what you actually do to moves and techniques, like what's taught in class, you end up being like, yeah, I'm good at like 5 moves.
Yeah. That's what I've learned so far.
And that's all it is like, well, I mean, you play baseball. Right. How many pitches does a great pitcher have to have?
Honestly, 3.
That's it.
Yeah.
Right. And you can go up against the best hitters because you limit their ability with those 3.
Yeah.
And you know how to use them effectively. And that is really for my game and just my thought process is going, oh, well, what is it that I'm finding that's really effective? And like, man, this old school stuff, that is kind of looked down on, because when you look at things in a small picture, when you look at the freeze frame, if we were going to break down jiu-jitsu videos, usually it'd be like you're breaking down a 5-second little exchange that happens. And there's so much more when you really start to zoom out on, what grappling is and how much exhaustion plays a part in it, that when you start to zoom out, you start to say like, oh, this little exchange only happened because of what happened 3 minutes before. Right. And so then you have to have, to me, general concepts that explain that. And you can explain to brand new people like, hey, this person on bottom got tired because the weight distribution on top was really, really good, meaning that the bottom person had to carry the top person. Every little movement was at a tax, right? You're paying this exhaustion tax constantly. And so when I'm looking at jiu-jitsu that way and trying to simplify it for my guys, I'm going, well, if you can just get to this one position, we'll call it an anchor, you will start to be able to feel really comfortable there, start to be effective in this, the whole idea that we're trying to get you to do constantly, but just in this one spot. And then we'll positional spar it to death. We'll work it a ton. And then when you go to compete, your mindset is just like, man, if I can get into that one spot, I can be effective. And he is not effective. And so for me, like my game has been built around how can I find these places that really we can all generally focus on, and it would help all of my guys the most for whatever they're doing. Because when I'm in the room, I have competitors and I have moms and I have, police officers, and I just have people that are hobbyists. And so how can I deliver something that is so sound to being effective in grappling that it can just allow you? For me, it's like, I don't, I never do any seminars for police officers. Like, I never do any classes myself for police officers. But at my school, my guys have some state funded things that are run, that they're all police officer run. And then I have coaches, or I have my now black belts in different places that are teaching other officers at their academies. That's what I care about. I really don't care about the specific of I taught a 50 police officer camp. It's like, I don't really care.
It's because that camp, you go do something for one day.
Right.
It doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't mean anything.
Like I'm recently, maybe you can help me out with this, but they're doing a wellness event here, and they want me to teach like a 1 day jiu-jitsu class. And I'm like,
why?
Like an intro. I mean, I'll do it. I'm going to do it, but I'm like, I'm like, how effective is it really going to be?
What is the most important thing for getting good at jiu-jitsu? In your most important
consistency.
Consistency over a long period of time, no doubt.
Time.
So for you, if you were going to get those people good at jiu-jitsu, you would take that day and just try to convince them to be consistent too. Whether that means you put them in bottom mount at first and teach them how ineffective they are from there.
Get out.
And then you teach them how to get out.
Yeah.
And then they go, I'm telling you, if you've never grappled before, if you go bottom mount and you learn a bridge and roll, especially after trying to get out without being able to do it, and you just learn to trap the arm and bridge and roll on somebody, you will smile. Guaranteed. You will laugh. You'll be like, wait a second. It was that easy?
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Take a post away and deliver force in that direction.
Yeah.
That's all.
Exactly. And you're like, and this is one of a million very specific circumstances.
Yeah.
And that is, I think that's like, if I'm looking at new people, if I'm looking at an intro class, even if and this is what I tell my coaches, your job really, yes, it's to teach the most effective jiu-jitsu, but really your job is to get people good. And the only way to get people good is to keep them consistent for a long time. So it's more important for you to teach a bad class and go up to everybody and be like, hey, I haven't seen you in a few weeks. Where have you been?
Right.
And then they're like, crap, you're right. I've been, I told you I had these goals and I haven't been showing up. I haven't been working on it. And so to me, it's like, I don't even have to be a good coach to just get people to come back. And if they come back and they train hard and they're focused and they're consistent, especially if they do stuff on their own, and they research on their own, they're going to get good. And so in that thing, for you, I'm like, if you can show them how ineffective that they are, and then how effective they could be if they knew. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you're teaching BJJ, so maybe that's not your goal. Is effectiveness. I'm just assuming we're talking
an AJJ.
I'm just assuming we're talking about American jiu-jitsu because we're here in America, right. And so if your goal is effectiveness, it's to try to get those people to just keep doing jiu-jitsu.
No, that's a good call. Yeah, because I was just like, what do I teach just for one little day, one class? And I'm like, man, I don't know.
Yeah,
like, I mean,
defense.
I guess, Defense. It'll probably just
get away.
Escapes. Yeah.
It's tough. I've taught like self-defense seminars and stuff, and it's that same thing of like, I don't want to teach you guys stuff that you now think that you should go
fuck with somebody.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is not what we're doing.
Because you do this one day and you drill this, 20 times total doesn't mean you know it.
Yeah.
I can show you an arm bar from closed guard and you do it 20 times. That doesn't mean you're good at a closed guard arm bar.
Well, that's the thing is like, I mean, I've been doing it really steadily for about 4 or 5 months now. I started last year, did it for a few months, and then stopped because hockey, and got back into it this year, and been doing it much more consistent now. But like, my biggest thing, what I asked, like, teach me how to defend this. Like, that's all I wanted to know. Is like, how do I stop this? Because I'm like, right now we're learning. We were working on your move.
Oh yeah, dude, your Americana from Mount.
All
dude.
right.
I love
was
that.
teaching that, dude. Because I don't think I've gone for an Americana since white belt.
Yeah.
Probably. I don't think I've like
me either, dude.
And then And then Trevor showed it this way, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
this is great.
I like this.
Mhm.
Yeah, this
Especially
is,
if I
you know,
can-
turn and putting your hip in their armpit.
Uh-huh.
And,
Dude.
it's money.
Yeah, and chest between that ear and
Yes.
shoulder. I've been, I started playing that maybe 18 months ago, and I'm like hitting it on lower level guys. I'm like, this can't be, I can't hit this on better and better guys. And then as, you know, especially doing rounds as people got tired, started hitting it on everybody. And I was like, there's no way I'm going to hit this in competition.
And you did.
And then I started to hit it. I hit it like twice last year, but then first tournament this year, me, Kyle, and Bryce were driving to Indianapolis. And so it was the only tournament that I did this year as an adult. And it was the only tournament that I did this year as a middleweight. And so, of course, I was a middleweight for 7 seconds this year before, you know, like right when I weighed in, and then I was, you know, pounding coffee instead of water, you know, like really going crazy. And so on the way there, we're talking about like, well, if you could hit anything, what would you want to hit? And then I think I want to say Kyle said his one takedown that he does, you know,
We know
and
which
so,
one that is.
yeah. And so he hit that like 3 times. And so he's like, what about you? I'm like, you know, I would love if I could hit a mounted Americana. And first match, I could feel the guy getting tired, like 6 or 7, they're 10-minute matches. And if you fail enough sweeps, you generally just lose the match. You will just, if it's that long of a match, you just get too tired. And it's really hard to try to kick somebody's body weight off of you 15 times in that 7 minutes when they're just in your face. And so I can feel that happening, and I feel like, oh, I'm going to get to mount. And as soon as I got to mount, his arm was just like, it was still pretty. Yeah, it was not, he was not defending mount yet. He was thinking like, crap, this happened. I'm sad.
Yeah.
And then I was like,
"Oh."
now it's time. I got to break it off. And so I hit it. I tapped him with it. I won the second match on I think like 6-2 or something like that. But then the final, same exact thing happened. I'm passing the guy's guards like 7 minutes. He's exhausted. And I'm like, he's giving up. I can feel it. He's done. I'm looking for the Americana, but his arm is like, it's like he's giving me a head and arm choke. And I'm having to play this mental thing of like, do I risk losing this position to try to get that arm all the way across his body again so I can try to hit the one move I care about? And then, you know, he's going to be like, this dude's just trying to Americana me. And then he gets that extra boost. And so I just took the head and arm choke.
I got to take the head. Man.
Take what's there.
Path of least resistance.
Yeah.
That's
It was.
Like been,
It was, I
you know,
suppose.
what's your favorite submission? Whatever one's available.
I suppose. Mine is the one that gets the best Instagram views.
Yeah.
You know, that's my favorite. You know,
The flashier one.
yeah. Well, and I don't have any flashy submissions, so then it has to be the most generic, basic thing that people go,
How do you beat him with that?
how do you do that at black belt? You know, that's what my mindset's around now, you know?
Well, speaking of competition, this was kind of a question I thought of. If you had to pick one rule set that, all right, jiu-jitsu can only be done this way. This is the only way. No, IBJJ, there's no, you know, every single jiu-jitsu competition ever from here on out is this rule set. What is the rule set you're picking?
Who am I doing this for? The viewer or myself or jiu-jitsu being, you know, what's...
That's a good question. I didn't think about that. I would just say you. You, like, if you could pick one thing, fuck everybody else.
Oh, then I'm absolutely picking the IBJJF rule set.
Yeah.
I like the fact that, okay, so this is the problem with rule sets in jiu-jitsu. There's, people always talk about submission only because it, like, oh, that sounds cool,
Yeah,
right?
They're just hunting submissions.
You're
the
just
whole
hunting
time,
submissions. And sometimes you have that, sometimes you don't.
Sure.
But
It's more like you're just defending submissions and it gets fucking boring.
exactly. And then the problem with submission only too is, what do you base the winner off of if there's not a submission?
Dude, that's where it kills me.
Yeah.
You base it off who missed the most submissions generally. And it's like, wait, what? How do you missed?
Right.
You don't, like, you weren't, you didn't do what you intended to do. You didn't tap me out. You didn't hurt me. Like, what, why
In
would,
my mind, that guy, because he properly defended the submissions.
right?
Yeah.
And so to me, that is like, you have to look at that. And so then the other problem with submission only is, towards the end of the match, you have both competitors going, oh, I did enough to win this decision. And so instead of taking risks and giving that up, they do nothing. And so one of the most effective ways you could fix that is telling them who's winning. The easiest way to do that is that point,
Yes.
right? It's like, if I know I have been I'm down 2 points and I have a chance to pass your guard, at the last minute, it's going to be exciting, even if there's not a submission, because people know what's on the line. They know like, oh, if he gets this, he wins. If he defends it, he wins. And so to me, that is the, if you're pushing for excitement, but it's really just for the athletes to say, this is a definitive, I know that I'm winning or I know that I'm losing. Whether that means that the points are always perfectly given out or, that the refereeing is always perfect. That's every sport, right? But I just think that if you're going off of what makes the most sense for, it's obviously like, if you watch the NFL and you've never seen it before, it doesn't make any sense. And so jiu-jitsu is not going to make sense to there's no version of it that someone is just going to go, oh,
flip it on. Oh, this is great.
Yeah, I know what this is, right? But if you start to learn the points, if you start to learn the rules, you'll go, oh, if this guy can score this, he's going to win the match. If he just stops this is his best position. And you start to really, that is what makes it more fun to watch. And so if I had to just do one, it would be
IBJJF.
Yeah, it would be IBJJF.
Yeah, I agree. That's my favorite rule set for sure. Just
if anything, make it like a hybrid. If you're doing, say it's a 6-minute round, the first half is submission only, and then
ADCC.
That's how ADCC runs.
Yeah.
First half is sub only, and a lot of people like that too.
I think that's a fun rule set. I've never competed in ADCC.
The only thing I don't like about the rule set is it trials their 6-minute matches, and that does produce insane matches because guys go 3 minutes just hunting for submissions, and if they miss, then you just kind of go, well, I put myself in a really bad spot. Yeah. I risk it all, and now points start. Mm-hmm. And so that, to me, creates interesting matches. Now, when you get to the finals of the actual ADCC Worlds, aren't the matches 20 minutes?
Yeah, so it's 10 minutes.
10 minutes of no points and then 10 minutes of points. And so literally, and then you have guys that really aren't great wrestlers, and they just stand there holding each other for the first 10 minutes, and then points start, and then they actually start to go.
Or they'll pull guard right before the guy's a guard pulling. He'll sit down with 2 seconds left. So because once the points start, if you pull guard in ADCC, you get a negative point. But if you're on the ground already when the points start, doesn't count as a guard pull against you. So it's just there's ways to gamify it.
And that's the thing is you'll get, even IBJJF, you're going to get people gaming the system no matter what. If you wanted what would be the best way to find the most effective jiu-jitsu, but screw the viewer and screw everybody else, it would just be submission only without a time limit. Because that's the only real submission only.
Yes.
Is that, well, if you get tired going against me,
then I'm going to take advantage of that.
Then I win. And that may be the only, we may be so even on skill, that's the only thing that I can do. Right. Yeah. And so to me, if you run into that's the most effective, but logistically, does it make the most sense?
30-minute match.
Exactly. And that's because sometimes you'll go with a guy that's close to you in skill, and you both have decent cardio, and you both aren't risking yourself by gassing so hard, and you roll for 30 minutes. And it's imagine if you had a tournament of that,
Well, I mean, that was so at the IB JFF, or what is it? IBJJF. Yeah. The Open. What was that one? There was the one match we were watching it, and then we went over and watched your buddy that was a brown belt, but it was right there on the corner. It was black belt. It might have been open with gi.
It had to be the adult.
It was Matt Green.
It was Matt Green. Yeah, I was going to say it had to be
flying armbar.
Well, yeah, but it was the championship for that one. Those guys kept going into overtime, and it was point based, and that was one of the best jiu-jitsu matches
you went against, I think, and CXBJJ.
Nice. I wasn't going to bring that up.
I'll bring it up.
Yeah, I wasn't going to say it.
That flying armbar. Yeah. It was the guy that fly armbarred Matt Green against the guy that you beat at CXBJJ.
Mm-hmm. And I don't want to throw that in either, but both guys that won, the guy that won the adult open class and the dude that won the Master 1 open class, I've submitted in the last year.
But that was honestly, that was one of the best matches I've ever seen. I mean, it just kept going and going and going, and it was competitive. And those guys, I mean, it was nuts.
Yeah,
and I think they probably went for a total of probably 20 minutes.
Yeah, that was. And you're right. There's so many out of bounces in that match, and I mean that was so physical. That were just imagine on the CXBJJ mat on the raised platform.
Raised platform. That's a dangerous thing.
That would
People in
be
the front row are getting smashed.
Yeah, I've fallen off every time
Yeah, you
I've
have.
fought non-CXBJJ.
I would love to compete in like one of the pits. I think that
I agree. I would
think
really
that'd
love
be-
that.
I'd love to just try that out. You know, like I think that'd be. Well, I just love
Well,
the
the
fact
thing
that there's
is-
no resets.
Mhm.
Like that's huge.
Adam was on and right before that last one, and he was talking about how they're trying to figure out how they can make it with pits.
That'd be so cool, man.
Sweet.
That'd be awesome.
The only problem with that is like you need an
Spectators,
yeah,
yeah.
you need people to be.
Yeah.
You need to be looking down into the pit,
Mm.
which I think would make things hard at red flag or however they do it. But I don't know, man.
Yeah,
it'd be
I
cool.
would love that because it solves one of the biggest problems in jiu-jitsu, which is the out of bounds.
Mhm.
You know, if I have you in a submission, we roll out of bounds. The rule is in points, you can't restart back in a submission. So literally we just start standing disconnected and the guy with the submission gets 2 points. And so sometimes, and if you obviously defend the submission by fleeing, you lose, you'll get DQ'd. But sometimes
Yeah, it's hard to
the
tell.
defense is you going that direction anyway,
Right.
right? And so you just go really quickly as far as humanly possible in
Yeah,
that
as fast
direction,
as
and you
humanly
keep
possible.
and you keep flailing, and you kick the TV, and
Yeah.
you kick the the ring coordinator. You do anything you can to escape that sub, except for actually be good enough to defend
To
the
defend
submission.
it, yeah.
You know,
Did you see that one this weekend? I think it was at the trials where this dude literally like double-legged a dude like through the table.
yes,
And
I
then
did
he
see
was
that.
like pissed that he got disqualified. Like, dude,
Yeah.
what are you thinking?
Well, what was the one that we went to down in Festus in
Oh, it was Jordan. Yeah.
Jordan.
kept fucking,
You just-
they did that what's it called? The squad scrap thing,
Uh-huh.
and one of our blue belts, he probably 7 or 8 times was like running people into the crowd. It was
yeah.
running his guy into the crowd.
Yeah,
He's-
that's one of my white belts at the time. He was a white belt.
Oh yeah.
He went and did I think one of the ADCC Opens in maybe Chicago or something. And I get a video sent to me of him. He's like a high school wrestler, of him running a poor 30-something-year-old dude all the way across the mats. But then they just like keep running. I'm like, one, if you needed 17 steps, you need to work on finishing your double leg,
Yes.
right? But the funny thing is that like step 18 was like a grandma with her granddaughter that's like, she's in a wheelchair and then her granddaughter is in like a stroller and they land right in front of them. And I'm like, okay, I guess this is ADCC, huh? Yeah.
Well, I just feel like any ADCC. I mean, I've never been to one, but it just seems like there's the mat that you're on is just a suggestion.
Yeah, absolutely, dude.
Like they don't like if it goes off the mat and they're on the carpet or the hardwood floor or whatever it is, like they just fucking keep going.
Yep.
And like it's just the mat is purely a suggestion.
It be like that, man. And it's like like at the CXBJJ, there is, risk of life falling off the mat. I mean, it's high up.
Yeah,
And
3 feet
so
off the ground.
but the risk of victory is just so much more important.
For sure.
And so, yeah, if you said like, hey, Josh, he's laying on the concrete on his back and the ref hasn't said stop, I'm hitting like the Jeff Hardy Swanton bomb on him right off the top. Yeah, there is no world. And then I'm pointing up to where like the Revive VIP people sit and getting one of them to frog splash off the top row. And we're just,
Frog splash.
yeah, we're just going. We're going, that's what it's about anyway.
Yeah, oh, for
it's
sure.
not like anyone cares if you win that, event, but they cared about the celebration after,
Oh,
you know?
for sure. That was CXP Jiu-Jitsu.
That was a lot of fun.
We had a lot of fun at the last one.
I agree.
Yeah, well, I think I might be doing the next one. I just talked to Adam today.
Yeah, I might be
Matchup.
commentating. I
Oh,
won't
yeah.
talk so bad about you, so.
He talks great about me.
Yeah, I won't say so many bad things.
Yeah, no, I listened to it. You
okay.
said nothing but great things.
Oh, okay.
Shouted out the podcast, everything. So, no, it was great. But one other, we haven't gotten in any of the fatherhood stuff. So, how old's
no.
Matthew now?
2. He just turned 2.
Damn, dude.
Goes by fast, doesn't it?
It does go by fast.
What's been the biggest change from 1 to 2?
I mean, just the way how excited he is to see us and just to interact, and how much more fun, at least for me, that I'm having interacting with him,
100%. Couldn't agree more.
And so, not that I wasn't like present the last year, but it's just like all of a sudden it stopped feeling like work because he can just interact with you now. And, he has his preferences on certain things, and
Sure.
you're just trying to teach him to stop punching kids in the face. And,
I'm struggling with that. Yeah, we just did a parent teacher conference, our first parent teacher conference last night. It's 3 and it's preschool. So but it was we have a problem not keeping our hands to ourselves and sharing. So yeah, he's definitely.
Yeah, we have that same problem.
Yeah,
we share that. Oh, that must be. Yeah, I don't know. That must be like something going around or something. I don't know.
It's just
must be in the water.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've been hanging out in Granite City too much.
Yeah, I'm out there all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Matthew will punch any little girl that he can find right in the face. And honestly, if he's mad, he'll punch you in the face. You know, the other day I caught on the fourth one coming for my head because he hit me. He's too fast. He hit me 3 times. I'm holding him with one arm. So I'm left hand defense here. And I'm a jiu-jitsu guy. I can't fight. And so I catch his hand and then he doesn't think twice. He pulls his head as far back as he can and he headbutts me right in the face. And I'm still holding his hand like an idiot. You know, I'm like, well, I can't do it. And then he does it again. And I'm like, hey, how about you sit down on the couch, bro? How about you just chill? How about you chill over there and I'm going to chill over here for a little bit.
Well, you go over there. I'm going to be over here.
Yeah, I don't think we should
talk for a minute.
Yeah, I don't think we should hang out for a little bit.
I think we need a little time.
Yeah.
Oliver started this. So mine are 6 and 7, and Oliver, we're still teaching him how to wipe. And so like every once in a while, like, Dad, I need help. And so like the last time I went in there, oh fucker, I walk right in and he just goes, whap, just drops me like straight in the nuts. And I was like, what in the fuck? And he's like, Dad, you shouldn't cuss. I'm like, dude, you just hit me in the
You shouldn't cuss.
Yeah.
like
I'm telling Mom.
But he's just laughing his ass off. And I'm like,
Wipe your own
yeah,
fucking
it's
ass.
really, wipe your own ass. Dude.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, like, dude, why? Why would you do that? And he just could not stop laughing.
And
I'm like, oh my gosh.
And the funny thing is, it seems as though it's just an intrusive thought. It's just like it just shoots through their head, and they're just like,
I'm gonna do that.
He's like, man, I need my dad's help wiping, and then the voice tells him right when he's walking in, turn around and throw a right hook.
Yeah. Straight right to the
It's just
beanbag.
right
Yeah.
there.
And he hits you, and he's like, that's why I always listen to you, voice. That's exactly that. You were right.
You never
I didn't
steer
think
me
of that. Yeah, dude, that is absolutely because, like, yeah, Matthew will do stuff and be regretting it in the moment. You know, he'll be hitting you and feel sorry. He'll throw his binky out of his crib and then be crying that he doesn't have a binky.
Uh-huh.
And I'll try to talk to him about it. Brother, why did you? It's down here. Why did you? I watched you do it. Why did you throw it down?
Yeah.
He's not down to.
They don't have that logic
Yeah,
yet.
he's not down for that logic.
I don't know, man.
He's
I just
like-
felt like I needed to throw it.
He's
and then
like-
after I threw it, I decided I wanted it.
Yeah, he's like, the problem here is that my binky is down there and you're not giving it to me. I don't care.
Yeah.
Well, how
yeah,
it got there?
Yeah, I don't. How is it my problem who threw it down there? You know, like
We used to have like 5 or 6 binkies in Calvin's bed because he would do the same thing.
Uh-huh.
And then he'd wake us up in the middle of the night because he would like be looking for it and like, all right, we're just gonna throw a bunch of them in here.
that's genius.
And then who cares? You know, like if he just kind of, you watch the monitor and he's just reaching around trying to find
Yeah.
one.
See, that's the thing is like if you could solve that problem, they say build a better mousetrap. If you could solve the binky problem for kids because obviously some kids just wake up because they're terrible kids and they hate their parents. But there comes a point when they sleep pretty well, and if their binky falls out or whatever, it wakes them up. And then their binky falls out of the crib, then you got to wake up, you got to find it, you have a flashlight. It's the worst thing.
You just got the ones with the clasp. They just need to make stronger child-proof clasp. There's child-proof everything.
That's true.
Make a child-proof clasp that they cannot take off of their clothes.
See, that is so. I had like a Hannibal Lecter binky in mind, but like the wrap around the head, cover the muffle, that was. Yeah, I like your idea. Your idea makes so much more sense. I'm glad we're discussing this now. Before I went to market.
Gerber, listen up here.
Oh no.
Yeah, dude. Oh my God, dude. They constantly push buttons, but it's so fun.
It is
3 though. Like
Three
for me, 3 was for both kids was worse than 2. Everybody's like, oh, the terrible 2s. I'm like, fuck that. The 3s.
Yeah.
Those little assholes at that point, like 2, they're still learning.
Yeah.
They don't know better. By 3,
they've
got a little bit more understanding and know better, and they're still being little assholes.
Yeah.
And yeah, 3. I'm in the 3. I got a 3-nager for sure.
Oh, yeah.
He's he's irritable. He's hard to. He has his days though. You know, it's like everyone. It's just like you catch him on a day where he's super happy and we're best friends.
Of course.
And then there's the next day. Actually, no, 5 minutes could go by.
Yeah.
And now he can't stand. You know, he's pissed off at everything I do. I can't even tie his shoes. You know,
I mean, it was like the day I picked you up to go to Nashville. He saw me, came up, high-fived me, and then turned around and grabbed his little tricycle and started throwing it at me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah, he's a Sour Patch Kid.
Yeah.
Sweet and sour. Just you don't know which order you're going to get it in.
Our son shouldn't hang out because I'm totally
You're in trouble.
Yeah, we're on the same page. Yeah, that was every time I leave him with grandma. I'm like, Grandma, you can't be within striking distance of any kid. He just can't. He just will. I mean, there's no way around it. He will punch them right in the face until he connects hard enough that something happens.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He will throw in a row, boom, 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 boom. I don't like it's not like, oh, but do they have a toy that no. He's like, oh, are they in his space? I mean, sometimes, but a lot of times he closes the distance and then he hits them.
He closes the distance.
And I'm just like, I don't get why you're doing this, but it's like, and then every time I pick him up and I'm like, okay, Grandma, you took him to see your family. You didn't let him he punched so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so 3 times. And I'm like, well, honestly, it's on you, Mom.
Yeah,
like, I don't.
Well, the first time was an accident. You know, you from then on out, you shouldn't have continued to let him do that.
I'm like, I swear I'm not teaching him this. But I do know that right now the solution is don't let them punch kids.
Yeah.
You know, I know that's it. Just do that.
I don't have my master's in parenting, but I know that's probably not a good thing.
Like I said, I told you guys before. I mean, both of mine are relatively close in age, and they both were going through a lot of the same phases at the same time. So I just bought them boxing gloves.
It makes a lot of sense.
And they just the rule is no punching above the shoulders or below the waist.
Okay.
If you punch above the shoulders or below the waist, the person that got punched there gets to punch the other person there. And
so then you can punch above it. So
wait, it's there.
Okay.
It's there.
It's so no rules is what you just said.
It's there. It's there, but the other person gets a free shot afterwards.
Okay.
And all it took was one punch to the face and the other person getting a punch back. That shit stopped.
Yeah.
Real quick.
Makes sense.
And so, you know, especially because Connor, my oldest, I mean, he's pretty aggressive, but Ollie's pretty strong. And so Ollie.
So you're saying I need Zach's son to beat my son up?
You guys got to get a box of gloves and then just bring them together and just let them duke it out for a little bit. And then, after a while.
All problems. What if they just get good at it?
Yeah.
What if they love it? What if they're just
they have a lust for blood?
Yeah. You know how some kids play the piano really young? What if they just like to fist fight really young and they're great at it? And then we're like, oh, well, we thought that this was going to solve that.
Yeah, that just made this way worse.
Yeah.
I guess I've gotten lucky.
We just gave him a hobby.
Yeah. No other sports. We do not like any other sports. That
I just tell them, hey, you guys are only alled to do this with each other. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So luckily, no problems there. Like,
I've made the joke that I'm only going to teach the littler one jujitsu, just so
that makes sense.
The other, or if I teach them both jujitsu, and then I just teach the littler one like dirty shit, like wrist locks.
Well, you just teach a littler one American jiu-jitsu.
Yes, there we go. I'll just do
And
that.
so-
A little bit more effective.
Yep. 10% more effective. You know.
60% of the time works 10% of the time.
Yeah, 10% more effective 100% of the time for sure. Yeah.
Oh man, but no, kids are great. How do you feel like it's changed? Because speaking of manhood, how do you feel like you've changed as a man as your son's gotten older?
I mean, I completely feel like I've changed. You know, it's hard to. I don't know. You feel like, at least for me, maybe I was just abnormally selfish, but you feel like when you are in the transition of like, well, now I have this thing that relies on me for everything, and every decision I make affects it, and it's not his fault. You know, it's not like he said, oh, I want Josh to be my dad, you know? And so when I started to kind of like get that sense of duty, and then, have the transformative experience of no sleep for 6 months. Mm-hmm. And I really think that there is like a level of the before having a baby Josh that kind of died. Mm-hmm. And so I just feel different. It feels like every decision and every reason for every decision and every thought is just from a different perspective. Now I heard somebody say, something like, once you have he's like, I don't have any daughters, so I don't know this, but he's like, but I know for sure, men, once you have a son, you are never in one place again. You are always in two places, right? You're wherever your son is. And so he's like, and for me, I'm like, yeah, that's how it feels. Even when I do the things that I've always done or do new things that are away from my family, it's just a completely different experience. It was like all those fun things that I built my life around being able to do for jiu-jitsu all of a sudden started like immediately one day felt like work. And I was like, man, I get to do all these cool things. I get to teach jiu-jitsu for a living, but it's that thought of like, at least for right now, because he's so young and can't do those things with me. It's like, man, being away is this work. It is this thing that I don't particularly like as much anymore. And so that just has changed my thought process so much. And then you also, at least for me, I also think like so much more long-term about things because kind of extends your life some,
Right.
you know?
I always think about it as like, hey, the things that I'm doing now and the things that I will continue to do, those be things that if my kids were to sit back and look at me and be able to see these things, is it something that would make them proud to call me their dad?
Yes.
That's like the biggest thing for me.
Mhm.
So how I justify a lot of the decisions I have. Like, I mean, should I do this or should I not do this? Like, all right, well, let me think about this. Like, my kids are older. Is that something that how would I want them to handle that decision? I'm going to make that decision now. So,
and you think like even that perspective that you have is only a perspective that you have because you take it seriously from whatever perspective you have from the dad that you have. And that's like, that is the, like I am out of everything for me, like one of the things I'm most blessed with is that the dad that I have is just like have one of the coolest dads. And all my friends recognize this now because my dad's been training jiu-jitsu with me for 17 years. We run our schools together. Like, oh, that's this really cool thing. But even before we did jiu-jitsu, all of my brother's friends wanted to be at our house always because they liked our dad. They just thought he was the coolest guy. And most of them, especially, we grew up in Madison, which is much worse than growing up in Granite City. And so we grew up in a really bad area. And so most of the people that we hung out with just didn't know their dad or had a terrible relationship with him. And getting to see like so many people wanting to experience that and be like, oh, well, it's almost like they would have this surrogate dad, and seeing that as this constant thing throughout my whole life, no matter what sport I was in, no matter, even when I got into jiu-jitsu and I was 14 and all of my friends are now 30, all of my friends were like, well, Steve's 45 and he's my dad. I mean, okay, sure. I guess he is. And I've just seen that so many times and like how much that has affected my life. And that like, there's a level for him of just, he's just never been selfish. It's always been about my brother and I, at least that I've existed. Mm-hmm. It's always been about my brother and I. And I see like how much that has changed my life is like, man, well, I hope that I can do that same thing for my son,
Yeah.
Awesome.
I didn't even know you had a brother.
Really?
Yeah.
I have a half brother.
Oh, okay.
So like when I'm saying that, it wasn't my dad's real son that he raised that way. We have the same mom, but different dads. But my brother and I grew up living together.
Older?
Yeah, older. He's 6 years older than me.
Okay.
And so, my brother's a blast too. He's a full-time farmer. And so he was in the car sale industry for a really long time and always wanted to be in the farm industry. And then one day was like, this is my last job, Josh. And I'm like, yeah, Kyle, you've told me that a bunch of times. And he's like, no, I'm telling you, this is my last time I'm going to be in this industry. I'm like, okay. And it was. Sure enough, and he's a farmer now. Yeah.
That's cool. That's awesome.
In Illinois?
So he literally just moved back. He was originally in Illinois. He was just for 2 years, was in Missouri at a farm in Washington, Missouri. And then he just moved back and is kind of looking for, his next fit for that.
Okay. That's awesome. So does he go around and rent farmland from people?
So what? It's like, he's very new in it, but he's doing work with like the USDA.
Okay.
And you would, if you had a big plot of land, you would be like, oh, I can get these contracts with the USDA. They'll fund you to have this certain amount of cattle on your land over the next however many years. They'll prep it, they'll build everything. And then I believe that you, at the end of it, you get that cattle. And so up until then, I don't think you own anything, but I think the end of it is you have this, this running farm. And so for him, it's like, I think he does the startup more than anything. Okay. And then I don't really know how the deals work on it, but that's what he's doing now. And so that's kind of what they're looking at. Yeah.
Farm startups.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It is such an Illinois job, right? Such an Illinois thing to do. When you start to talk about acres, well, how many are tillable? These are such Illinois terms that you just can't appreciate, You just can't appreciate.
I don't know if I've ever said the word tillable.
Oh, dude, you don't talk about tillable? Oh, I have 100 acres, but then you wait.
But how many are tillable?
30 tillable, okay. So you have 30 acres.
Yeah, 30, okay. 30 acres.
So you have a forest. Yeah, you have, so that's that's Illinois. That's Illinois life for you.
Yeah.
Well, it's crazy though, because like you talk about USDA, there's a type of mortgage, there's a USDA home loan. And so you go and look because you have to be in a certain area and it has to be eligible to be that. Like when you go and zoom out of the map, I'd say probably 80% of the United States is USDA eligible. It just makes you realize like how much farmland out there versus like actual city. I mean, everybody condenses into the cities, but there is so much more like USDA eligible homes out there than there is anything else.
Interesting.
Yeah.
How would one, if I was going to call my brother on the way home and say this to him, how would one find that?
You just type in USDA home eligibility.
Okay.
And it'll take you to a map and you put in your whatever zip code and then you can just zoom out and it'll show you everything, like everything that's green is USDA eligible. Everything that's yellow is not. And so you'll be able to see like how much green there is versus yellow across the country.
Big fan of the green.
I would love to know how real estate agents see the world through things, because like I see the world as a podcaster and a jiu-jitsu guy. Yeah. And so I see the weirdest things and care about the weirdest things. And so I just couldn't imagine like for you guys because it's such an industry that you can know more and more and more and more of.
Dude, it's like jiu-jitsu and that fact that I feel like you're never going to learn it all.
No.
Yeah.
Like I'm never going to figure out everything. Like there's always going to be a question that comes up like, fuck, I've never seen that before. Like, what do we do that? How do we do this? Like that happens on a weekly basis for me, for sure.
We have hundreds of loan programs.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I know probably 10, like the 10 that are most likely for me to use here or wherever I'm licensed at. But I mean, there's all sorts of shit out there. It's insane. But
what about 50-year mortgages?
I did a whole video on this.
Are they good? Are they bad?
Well, one, they're not happening. They nixed that idea.
Okay.
But everybody was like, oh, there's going to be hundreds of dollars a month in savings, which basically everybody keeps talking about, like, oh yeah, long term, you're going to be paying so much more interest. But like, let's be real. Most people only hold on to their mortgages on average 6 to 8 years. Mm-hmm. So it's really not that big of a difference that way. But where everybody was trying to sell this was like, hey, this is going to free up the ability for people to now qualify for homes that they wouldn't be able to on a 30 because their payment's going to be $200 less. So me being the math nerd that I am, I'm like, well, let me dive into this and let's see if this is really how it's going to be. So using all St. Louis averages. So St. Louis average sales price is $300,000, typical down payment 5%. And then I was looking at what we already know. I was like, hey, well, yes, if the 50-year interest rate is the same as the 30-year rate, we will see $250, $300 a month difference in the monthly payment. But what we currently know is that we have a 15-year mortgage that's interest rate is 0.5% less than a 30-year mortgage. So if we take that same thing and we look at a 50-year mortgage with an interest rate that's 0.5% higher than the 30, now your savings is only $91 a month. But most of the articles that I was reading was that this 50-year mortgage is going to be more like 0.75% higher. When you do that, it's a difference of $36 a month.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So I shouldn't have gotten one is what you're telling me. That was a bad
should
call.
Call this guy in refi.
Yeah, that was a bad call.
Well, and the crazy thing about it too is like when you look at it and you start looking at the amortization schedule on a 50-year mortgage for those same terms where if the interest rate's 0.75% higher than the 30, every month that you make your payment until you hit 100 payments, you're only paying double digits in principal. So like you won't hit $100 towards your principal balance until you've made 100 payments. Like, so like first payment's 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56. And it just keeps going up like that. And then once you hit your 100th payment, you'll finally have $100 per payment going towards your principal balance.
Oh my gosh.
Or with a 30-year mortgage right off the bat on that for the same terms, you're sitting at $250 per payment right off the bat is going towards your principal balance.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. So if you guys became president, vice president for a day, and you only cared about fixing the housing market in let's say this, fixing the housing market in a way that would benefit you guys the best, allow you to sell more homes, what would that be? What would your solution be?
If we could get interest rates to 5%, I think that would really even things out a lot.
Yeah.
We'd bring a lot of buyers out into the market that are, been sitting on a 2.5% or 3% rate from when they refied in COVID. I think we'd see a lot. Some of those people would be coming out of the woodwork and willing to sell their house. We'd have more inventory on the market. I think we'd bring a lot more buyers and first time home buyers. I think if we drop the interest rates, if we could get interest rates to, low to mid fives, I think that could happen. What do you think, Pat?
No, because I think it'll put us right back into what we were seeing in 20 and 21, where like the whole problem that we're having is inventory. Like we're still going to have an inventory problem because sure, yeah, rates hit the fives. We're going to have more people trying to sell their house, but that also means we got more people trying to buy homes, as well as the people that are entering the market as first-time home buyers. So we're just going to see a repeat of 20 or 2021 again, where you're having all these multiple offers, you're having to waive all these things. It doesn't change the fact that we have an inventory problem.
Yeah.
So for me, what I would do would be come up with some sort of plan to help with building homes, or like right now there's a big push for manufactured housing. And these manufactured homes are not what you're thinking. Like people hear double wide, but it's not your old school double wide. Like these manufactured homes are pretty nice. They're like, there's a new one. I forget what the term is. But it's like it's a modular home. But it's like a combination of a home and a manufactured home. And, but the problem is that the interest rates on these aren't that great. And so, but they take 6 weeks to build. And
it's
so,
crazy.
And isn't it true with those type of things that it's much harder to borrow just in general with something like that?
Yeah, because there's so many more things that we are requiring buyers to do. Like, we require an engineer's cert, like they have to go in and make sure, and then they got to make like the guidelines are always changing. That like we can't do anything on any manufactured homes. I'll have to double check, but I think it's either 1976 or 1978. Prior to that, can't do any loans on those.
Really?
Yeah, because they're out of code.
They're expired.
Yeah, essentially.
That's interesting.
But something along the lines that promotes home building, whether it's through manufactured homes or some sort of the government giving some sort of tax credits towards these home builders that allow them to turn around and make these homes cheaper, because that's the problem. Like there's constantly homes being built here in St. Louis. But the problem is like some of these builders are trash. I'm not going to name any names, but there's some pretty shitty home builders.
Right.
Yeah. I'll let him say it. But yeah, they just build crappy homes, but they're selling. You can't find a new construction house for starting for less than $300,000, and then you go in, and that's just base.
Yeah, that's if you don't want doorknobs or
right.
Yeah.
Like so, and then once you start adding all these things in, you're adding 50, 60, 75,000 to that, and now here you are. You're looking at what you thought was going to be 300, now it's almost 400,000, and that's for a new house, and that's just not. It's
not affordable.
In the process, it takes a year to get that built, so it's just not. It's not affordable. It's not efficient. So there needs to be something, and my thinking, to promote quicker building, tax incentives or something like that for these builders, or some sort of subsidies granted to these builders to help bring the cost of building some of these homes through. But then, the problem with that is you got these subdivisions that they're building, And hey, you know what? We just built this house that we just sold last year for 400,000. Now they're getting the same house, and there's all these incentives and all that. Now the house is 250. What do you think just happened to that house that was 400? It's no longer going to be worth 400,000. So it's very tough. Honestly, I think eventually we're going to get there, because right now the largest holders of homes is the baby boomer generation.
Mhm.
Well, the youngest baby boomers in their, I think 60s now.
Yeah.
And so they have this thing called the silver tsunami that they keep talking about, where it's basically baby boomer generation is either one passing away or retiring and moving somewhere else. So it could be, as a matter of fact, is, hey, maybe, let's give this older generation a place to go. So maybe now, because a lot of people didn't want to go to these retirement communities or anything like that because of what happened with COVID. So maybe we figure out a way to incentivize that. Something along the lines that can free up this inventory from the boomer generation, as well as continue to build and make it efficient and cost effective for people to build, to get affordable homes that way. So
that makes sense. I mean, honestly, both make sense to me as someone who one day wants to have land with, some tillable, some not.
Some tillable.
But definitely acreage.
Definitely tillable land.
And yeah, definitely some tillable land. Maybe not tillable land. We'll see. But as somebody that wants to do that, and my wife and I talk about manufactured homes or a pole barn or something in that sense.
Pole barns have become very popular, and we're just now starting to be able to underwrite those through standard financing. Or before you needed special financing to get those. Now we can do those under standard financing.
That's
So
cool.
that's a big thing. But that's another thing, is like promote custom builds, promote people, going out buying land and building homes. I think, one thing that we could potentially see is like, hey, you get a group of some of your closest friends that you wouldn't mind living with, and you buy a bunch of acreage and you guys build a homestead. And do things like that. Those are all things
Build
that
a compound.
Yeah. American Jiu-Jitsu will eventually be a cult. So that's kind of where my mindset's at anyway.
Yeah.
And so, it's a good place for all of us to die together, like
Or fearless leader.
you buy this
Give me all your
compound.
money and your women.
Yes, exactly. Oh, darn it. We're BJJ again. And so, darn it, it got us. But on the other side that's the other thing my wife and I talk about is like, babe, there's no way on God's green earth I would buy anything right now. Our home payment is nothing.
Right.
We don't pay, our home payment is, we bought our house in 2017 and our home payment is non-existent. Our home has doubled in value. Let's just keep chilling. Right. I know it's tight in here with the three of us, but let's just keep chilling because one day, it'll pay off. But on the same note, it's like, yeah, if interest rates were lower, I would probably be like, yeah, it's time.
It's time, exactly.
You're right. This is time, babe.
Yeah.
Well, and there's
It
things
seems
that,
more reasonable.
and there's things that they can do to help that. There's these things called loan level price adjustments, like credit score, down payment. Those are all things that affect the rate that you get. And back in 23, they came in and changed the loan level price adjustment for credit score. You used to only need a 740 credit score to get the best interest rate. Now you need a 780. And so and they work in buckets of 20. So you've got 780 and above gets the best rate. And you have 760 to 779 that is a slightly higher rate, about 1/8%, maybe depending on pricing, a quarter. And then you've got 740 to 759, which is 0.3% higher. Well, majority of people that I talk to and I work with are falling in that 740 to 770 range. And now they're getting hit with higher interest rates because of this. And now, to offset that, start looking at government loans, like an FHA loan, because those rates are typically less than a conventional loan, and it's going to get people better payments, better things like that. And, it's just, but at the same time, it's like, hey, if we go back and remove some of these loan level price adjustments for credit score to bring it back to what it was, that's going to open up better interest rates for a lot of people.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Well, Josh, we got to get out of here in about 15, 20 minutes, but I wanted to end the show with a few hot takes because I know that's kind of your thing in your show.
Okay.
You do a lot of jiu-jitsu hot takes.
Yes.
So I pulled some that I thought could be, interesting.
Okay.
So, all right, let me find.
Okay.
All right. Here we go. 90% of people who obsess over leg locks don't have basic guard retention. Modern jiu-jitsu has become a gimmick game of shortcuts instead of fundamentals.
Yeah, I'm in on that.
You're on that?
Yeah, I would say 90% is a fair thing, and I would say that I would say 99% because guard retention starts from being able to escape a bad position, being able to escape side control or mount, and how many of the guys that are really flexible that play the leg lock game, once they get past, just absolutely suck.
Right.
And like just give up, right? And so to me, that's that's part of your retention not being good is your retention starts from the bad position. It gets you back to your guard. And so, and then it's just the thought too is like if your whole focus is on attacking the lower body, if the upper body of your opponent gets into the fight and starts defending, you should probably start to think about attacking the upper body, right? Because that is now in the fight. It's now engaged and they're thinking defense of the legs. And so just in a well-roundedness, a lot of people don't think of jiu-jitsu in that way. You pick it, oh, it's a cool move. I'll pick this, I'll throw it in. And there's not a lot of thought of like, is this going to be effective for me in the long term?
Yeah.
All right. Hot take number 2, gym culture reality check. Most gyms don't have a team. They just have a room full of hobbyists who train for fitness and don't really care about getting good.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. I would say the problem for that is the coach generally doesn't care about getting them good or just puts other things in front of that,
It more of a money grab than anything.
Well, and it's just
Or they care about their training.
We've run into that with baseball. The amount of baseball organizations here in St. Louis is fucking stupid.
Yeah.
And it's all fucking money grab.
Yeah.
Because they know parents are going to pay this shit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's insane.
Well, and then you go like, if it comes to teaching your kid baseball, how do you know who is the right teacher? Just because they sell the most doesn't mean they're the right place. It just means they have the best marketing.
Yeah.
And so, with most, just so much jiu-jitsu culture is just not built around like, hey, we're trying to be as effective. You see it even in competition culture, which is crazy, but you see so many people get hung up on the rule set or the way that somebody won or whatever. And it's like, none of that stuff matters. It's about we're competing in this game to win, and that's what it's about. Is like, and then it doesn't matter if you lose. It doesn't matter if you have an excuse for losing or not. You just lost, and then you have this choice that you can get better or not. You can use that as an excuse and say, well, then there's nothing to fix. Or you could say, hey, even though I have an excuse, what should I fix? What could I fix that made me lose this? And so, I just think just the general mindset, and it comes from the top. I think so many coaches fear rolling with their students because they don't want to lose. And then they go, well, if I can't lose to my student. Well, do you think that your best purple belts don't actually know why you don't roll with anybody, or you don't roll with anybody tough? And so then they go, well, I don't roll with good people either.
Yeah.
That's what
you lose respect for your coach.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And that's like you either lose respect or you learn that habit, and you just go, this is how it is. And so to me, it's like, again, it's back to the thought of it just needs to be so based on effectiveness, and that's kind of how I look at it.
Great. You can't be, I'm interested to hear your thoughts on this one. You can't be a highly competitive black belt and a full-time coach.
No, I think you can. I think that, I don't, I assume that say that I'm not a highly competitive black belt, if that's the hot take.
No, I was gonna say, I'm not, I didn't come up with these. It's ChatGPT. So.
But, well, maybe ChatGPT, that was ChatGPT's opinion. But, I would say that there are a few guys that have done it. I'm sure like starting at purple belt, much less people have, like usually it's somebody that has been a good athlete and then they start to be a coach and they continue to be a good athlete, right? It's very hard for someone to develop as a good coach and develop as a good athlete at the same time.
Right. You don't just start competing at black belt.
Exactly. Right. And so I just, I would say that it's definitely possible. It's not easy. And I would say it's definitely, or at least in my opinion, you probably need some predisposition for being good at jiu-jitsu. I think it's a harder path to take than just going, well, all the training is about me. My whole thought processes of jiu-jitsu are about how do I get good? How do I win? And so,
Well, I'm taking it to baseball again. When I was playing and I would come back and get pitching lessons, for me, I felt like I got better as a pitcher from coaching and giving lessons, because there were things that I would forget, fundamental, like little tiny fundamental things that I would forget. And then all of a sudden I've got these kids that are in front of me and they are relying on me to see and point out every little thing to correct them. And then I'm like, oh, clicks in my brain. Like, that's the shit I'm doing. Like, okay, now it gets, and then I always felt like I got better. Now, again, we're talking about black belts versus being a professional baseball player. Like, you're at that level where it's like you're already really, really good at what you're doing. Now you're taking what you know, translating it over to someone else, and you're going to possibly pick up things that you might have forgotten along the way that might ultimately make you a better at jiu-jitsu, or, like, for me, a better pitcher.
Well, and not only things forgotten, but things that you were never actually taught.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you learn how to throw a pitch in a certain way, and then you throw that pitch 50,000 times, and you're going to throw that pitch slightly different.
Right.
And if you can deconstruct what that is, and like, this is the basic, this is what I was taught, but this is what I do now.
Right.
That's like when I talk about coaching so much, that's something coaches don't do in jiu-jitsu. There's always this thought process of like, well, this is what it was for me as a white belt. This is how I learned as a white belt. And like, well, how do you learn now?
Right.
You know, is that more effective? Is that a better way? Is that an easier way to think about it, that if given to a white belt, they wouldn't have to take as long, you know?
Yeah. Well, that, and the people that are doing it now, I mean, shit, I learned so much from just being around Blake Baumgart and the questions that he asks.
Yeah.
That motherfucker asks incredible questions. And I'm like, damn. And I know there's times been like, Trevor's been there. He's like, oh, that's a really good question.
Yeah.
And then he has to think about it. And then,
he only asks me dumb questions. What's up with that? He's never asked me. I don't think he's ever even asked me about jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, really?
He's always asked me weird hypothetical questions about stuff. You know, I'm just like, I don't know who would win in a fight between Superman and a bear. You know, if the bear was a black belt, why am I the authority? Why am I the authority on this?
That's a real Blake question.
Yeah. Shut up, Blake.
Next hot take.
I don't want to skip that one. I don't like that one. How about, this could be a fun one. People get offended about steroids in jiu-jitsu, but it's simple. PEDs are the only reason we see entertaining modern matches. Without them, the pro scene would be boring as fuck.
Oof. It's a tough argument. I mean, the pro scene would be, who knows what the pro scene would be? Who knows? It would be so different. But I'll tell you this, there's no way people would be able to train the way that they train without PEDs. There's just no way. Yeah. And that is like, to me, that's always my thing, is that's the reason that I think that the jiu-jitsu space has so much PED use, is because, in most sports are like this, but because the training model is built around overtraining. And the best way to deal with that is to take something that makes you recover near instantly.
Right.
And so, yeah, like I will just, and that's the thought, is like, people are like, oh, well, they just must be really strong or whatever. And yeah, that is the case sometimes, but it's the amount that you can train without the repercussion of, if you train a little too much, if you're natural, you are affected for days, and it's just, you don't have that same problem. So it is just it would be a different sport, and it would be a different like way that you would have to approach the sport. But it is exciting to see freaky athletic juiced up dudes
dudes try to strangle each other.
Or I mean, even then, it's so much fun when you see a dude that is super juiced up lose to a guy that it's obviously not, that's on donuts, and you're just like, oh man, jiu-jitsu still works at that level,
Right.
They're on donuts.
Yeah. They call that the Josh McKinney diet.
That's the Josh McKinney diet. So when are you getting on the PEDs?
I just do donuts still right now, but I'm good.
The new philosophy for American jiu-jitsu.
As soon as the PED guys can start beating me, I'll get on, I'll be like, oh, that's the reason. But it's one of those things, like, you guys can't
break
win,
yeah.
It's like, it's not working.
Don't fix
Maybe
it,
you should do more steroids, I don't know. Maybe we should up those estrogen blockers, boys, because it doesn't seemed the jiu-jitsu that you approached me with was a little bit feminine, and so, not that there's anything wrong with that, but I'm just saying estrogen feels a little high a lot of the time when I'm rolling with these guys that are juiced to the gills. Like, oh, you have 8 abs, but You just
Your
feel,
nipples are
yeah,
sensitive.
you're, yeah, you
Nipples are
just,
sensitive and you look like you're about to cry.
You're crying out here. Why are you crying? Like, we're just having fun, bro. Like, why are you?
Passed my guard.
No,
Why
yeah,
are you
now
crying?
you're angry and now you're like, I don't understand. Why are you, take it easy. Holy smokes, are you having a heart attack, dude? Like, you're purple. You know, like, why are you purple right
You
now?
look like a grape.
Yes, exactly.
You match your belt.
Exactly. And so, yeah, I'll get on as soon as they start beating me.
Fair
You know?
enough.
People say jujitsu helps mental health, but I've seen jujitsu amplify people's issues, ego, insecurity, obsessions, addictive behavior. It doesn't heal everyone. Sometimes it makes them worse.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%. You know, and you just, I agree that there are people that have completely had 180-degree life transformations.
I would say there's probably more of that than
Yeah.
the reverse, but they're
I agree with that too. But there's definitely, and then of course it depends on the environment that you're in, you know? And so if you have a predisposition to drug abuse and you go and everybody abuses drugs at your gym, might not be the best community for you. You know what I mean? And so there are definitely just places that aren't the right fit. But then I totally agree that it can just amplify who you are. It's just like anything else, there's some power that comes with the skill of being good at jujitsu. And if you give power to bad people, they tend to just use it bad.
for bad.
Yeah, exactly. And so even the way that they act in the jujitsu space is negative. And you see that and you're like, this person they only care about themselves, or however that may be. Or they will knowingly treat people badly. You see that, like, that doesn't go away in a lot of people just because they learn jujitsu,
Right.
you know?
Yeah. Well, I think that's a good place for us to kind of end it. But, Josh, you weren't here, I don't think, when we were doing, I don't think last time you came on, we weren't doing, how we end the show the same way every time now. So before we get you out of here, we have one last question for you.
Play a little game. I don't know if we played this last time.
What is it?
The Tombstone game?
I thought we did, but I didn't
Did
like
we?
my answer.
Okay, so you can redo it.
Yeah, so pretend that we didn't.
Yeah, we didn't do it. Yeah, well,
I can't
that's the
remember
cool
if we
thing
did or
about
not.
this game. It
Yeah,
can
the
always change.
Tombstone game, I'm very interested in this.
Yeah,
I've never heard of it.
Yeah.
I've never heard of it before.
All right, well, here lies Josh. What's it say in your tombstone?
It says, Alexa, play Hulk Hogan's entrance theme.
That's fucking perfect.
That's
Mhm.
awesome.
Yep, that is
the real American.
That's what I'm saying. That's what it says. That's what it says. Either that or, I don't know, the president of American Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah,
You know?
Ooh, that's good. I
Yeah.
like it. The president.
The president of American Jiu-Jitsu, the author of the American Jiu-Jitsu Declaration of Independence. And, oh yeah, I forgot father, husband. You know?
Throw that in there.
Yeah. That's what I want on my
That's
tombstone.
awesome.
Perfect. Well, Josh, it's been a lot of fun, man.
Thank you
Appreciate
guys for
coming
having
in.
me.
This we'll have to do it a third time
Yes.
on the
Absolutely.
road for sure.
I would love to.
And thanks to everybody at home that watched or listened to this episode. If you could, please hit that subscribe button for us. That would help us out a ton. Pat and I have a goal to get to 500 subscribers on YouTube before the end of 2025, and we're getting close. So help us out. Hit that button. Comment what you thought below. Share this episode with a friend, and we will see you next time.